Hello, it's me. Yes, I'm finally back. Hi, everyone, and thank you for waiting such a long time for my next video. Today is October 11th, 2022. I do have some dreams to share, and I especially felt um, really urged by the Lord because I had some additional confirmation from a couple of friends of mine that I'm going to share their dreams as well. They gave me permission to share theirs as well. And then I also am going to include a link in the comments below or in the information area below the video of a video that's kind of been making the rounds that I would love for you guys to watch too because it gives definitely a degree of urgency. Um, but as far as the last 6 months, apparently it's been that long since my last video. I had not been aware it was so much time had passed. We were finishing up school, then we had the summer, and then I had my job, and honestly, I've just been holding off because I just have so many questions. I hate making videos when I myself um, just need feeling like I just need time with the Lord. But now I just felt like this was the time. I prayed on it, and I've heard these other friends of mine with their dreams, and I just felt like I have to share this, you guys. It's well, you watch the news. If you do watch the news, you see all the stuff going on with Russia, Crimea, the bridge exploding, everything. And these last couple of dreams I had, they were so vivid. So let's get right to it. Okay. And I'm sorry it's in black and white. Let me address that real quick. I'm in a different room of the house. This is my dining room that I use now as a classroom. We've been using it for years as a classroom for homeschooling, and I am on a different computer, so it's got different features on here. But the weird thing is the colors are really saturated. So let me take this off. You'll see when I put color, my walls look like mustard yellow, and that was really driving me crazy because that's not the color of these walls. They're actually a very soft brownish gold color. It's like more of an applesauce color. In fact, I think that's the name of the paint color. Anyway, it was driving me crazy. So there's like a ton of different filters. I'm just going to go. I did grab the first one, which is black and white. So we'll just go with that until I figure out the rest of these filters and learn my way around this computer a bit more. Anyway, let me jump into the dream. Okay, so this dream was October 1st, so just very recent, very short and very quick. So my husband and I, we were running across kind of what felt like my old college campus. There's a quad right in the center where it had like a little like a old fountain, but it was never on. And then some of these big buildings were facing it. So in my dream, I don't know if that was it specifically, but that's the feeling I had. It was a familiar kind of place. So all I know is we were running across this quad and some like an emergency was happening. Things were falling from the sky. And they were like these humongous, all I can describe them as they look like boulders. I don't know if they were meteorites. I don't know if they were what, but they were enormous and they were all different shapes. So some looked like big rocks, like roundish. One of them in particular looked really longish, like it was like this long, almost like too big of them, two ones stuck together. I don't really know, but they were all like a brown color. So we're running and we're dodging these things as they're coming crashing onto the ground. People were screaming and running everywhere. So my husband is right in front of me and we're running together, but we're kind of dodging and he's looking ahead to see where these things were to dodge around where the ones had already fallen. But I immediately thought, no, I need to watch and look up and I could see where they were coming so that we could dodge them. So then I suddenly realized we have to run together and like we have to run as one. And I grabbed his hand, and so he's watching where we're going while I'm watching the sky to see what's coming. So he's seeing where we're going, I'm watching what's coming. And hand in hand, we're able to completely navigate. And we were steering, we were running, um, and they were falling so fast. And that I remember very vividly looking up and just seeing this huge one coming. But at the same time, I wasn't terrorized. Like I knew we were going to be okay, but it was like the adrenaline of the moment. We were just run, 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 and then I woke up. So it was very vivid. I could see vividly the color of these like rocks coming down. I can't even describe how huge they were. Like this felt like the size of buildings were just coming down and just coming crashing. Okay, so that was October 1st. Then just a few days after that, October 6th, I had another dream And this time, again, oh, and let me just say about my husband being in the dream. So in real life, we do work together as a team, which is wonderful. And he is very much the steady, just getting through the day. He's a Christian. He probably was more devout long before I was, but we're devout in different ways. We both read the Bible. We're both very conservative in our views. But he doesn't get the kind of dreams that I do. He just, we both have like the power. We believe in the power of prayer. And when I tell him about dreams and things I share, he's just like, okay, and he's believing, but he's just kind of like, okay. He's kind of a bit more formal about it, I guess. It's hard to describe. So it's very in keeping with our personality, this dream where he's keeping his eye where we're going while I'm looking up and seeing what's coming. What's also interesting is a husband symbol in a dream would be Jesus. So Jesus is navigating me through, but I also have to keep my hand holding on to him, and he's going to steer me through. And he's like, he leads me on paths of righteousness for his name's sake, and he guides me through. He knows where we're going. And that's how my husband felt in the dream. Like he was in front of me, and he had my hand tight, and he was grabbing, and he knew just where he was going. Like he was just, and I was just seeing what was coming. So I thought it was an interesting symbol on two sides of it. So, okay, so the next dream, again, I was with my husband, and we were in this really large house, and it was like I was almost seeing it from maybe a few stairs up, kind of looking down onto this great big great room, and I don't know whose house it was. I was looking into like a family room with a huge vaulted ceiling and huge windows, probably like almost 3-story high windows. It was, I don't know if it was a mansion or maybe it was a business office. I don't know, but it was just enormous. And I was looking out first down into the family room, and then I looked up and I saw through the windows these huge dark clouds like just rolling in, and we could hear all of a sudden the wind going woo, and it was like the house was almost rocking. It was intense, and it felt like something supernatural was happening outside. And we could just see the sky rolling in, huge dark clouds rolling in, hearing the wind, and hearing this loud storm just blowing. And I knew this was not a normal storm. Something big was happening. And I want to think I said out loud, or I thought it's starting, it's coming, or it's starting. Like I knew at that moment, and my husband was nearby, and I just felt like we were both, all of a sudden, we looked out the window and we saw it coming. And from what I remember, when you have a dream of looking out a window, it's like a vision, like of what's coming in the future. It's coming. And as I say that, I want to share something, because some people say, well, how do you know it's a dream? How do you know it's really going to come true? And the Lord has been really reminding me of something, and I've never forgotten this actually, but he really impressed something in my mind, in that he's shown me through my life when I've had certain dreams, and I felt they were different, and I saw something coming. He's reminded me, whenever I've shown you those kind of dreams, they've come true. And one of them, the most amazing one, was back in 1994. I graduated college, and I was living with my friend. Her and I were sharing a little house down in the college town we lived in. I was working on campus, and she was still going to school, finishing up her degree. And I'll never forget, I had a dream, and this is in South Carolina, and my boyfriend had broken up with me. Just out of the blue, after we've been dating. I was completely heartbroken, and he was going through stuff. We've since been friends after that, but years later. But at the time, it was absolutely devastating, and I was just in a very depressed place, and living with my friend, and she was always cheering me up, and we're still really good friends today. But I had this dream, and I think it was the Holy Spirit giving me comfort, because I was really, really sad and alone, and just feeling really sad, sorry for myself. And in my dream, I was looking out a window, and I saw these beautiful trees, but they were kind of like in the fall, like the leaves were kind of falling. But when I was a child, even though I was at the time living in South Carolina, my grandma had a farm in Wisconsin, and that was my beloved place, because she had a farm, which I loved animals, and my dream was to be living on a farm. I was always a country girl, and I have the happiest memories when I visit her on that farm. And in my dream, I was looking at the window, and I said out loud, Wisconsin. I was back in Wisconsin. This was always my childhood happy place. And even though here I is, all these years later, I was living in South Carolina, but I heard a voice, to my left side, and a voice said, "It's what you've always wanted." And I'll never forget that dream. I just was looking at these branches of trees and knowing that Wisconsin had those beautiful big woods and everything. Well, that was back in 1994. Then come what happened, all these years later, I met my husband, who it turns out lives in Wisconsin. And immediately, the moment we met, we knew we were meant to be together. It was very romantic. We've never looked back. We met each other like, this is it. This is it. We got married, and I'm obviously living in Wisconsin now. And when we had our first baby, I'm sitting on the couch and I'm holding my little girl, and I just this contentment and this joy I've never known my entire miserable life up until I met until I became saved. But my life, I didn't realize how sad and depressing it was until I finally had Jesus. But I remember holding my baby and feeling for the first time, well, since becoming saved, I just felt such contentment and bliss. And I never knew what bliss felt like, but holding my new baby, looking out the window at the trees in our backyard of Wisconsin, and it was winter time and the leaves were falling, and I was reminded, he said, it's what you've always wanted. And I remember the Lord was sharing with me, I have had a promise for your life. I've always given you a hope and a future. And now that you finally know me, I was able to, and because it was around the time I got saved that I met my husband, and it was like he had this whole future just waiting for me. But even back in 1994, 95, I think it was, he was showing me this promise he had waiting for me. And here, all these years later, I finally he was showing me how this is true, it's unfolding. And so he was this has been that vision I had, that dream I had back in the 90s. He's been having it on my mind all these last few days. I keep thinking about it and just being so grateful. Every time I step outside and I think about my home and how long it took me to find this happiness in my life, I always praise him, and I'm thinking, Lord, you've always been so faithful. And it was a reminder that he's saying, trust what I show you. Trust what I show you. And trust so much that you know you can share it with others, and that you can be faithful to them and showing them what I show you as I'm faithful for you. So that's where I'm here. So I'm sharing this with you because I feel this urgency when I see things coming in the sky. I don't have dreams like that very often. I've had them before, but when I see things like that unfolding, it's a real big wake-up call. But I also want to share with you a couple of dreams from a couple of friends of mine. You may be, Marty Breeden. He's friends with me on Facebook, and he's got a whole testimony of his own. I encourage you to go look him up on YouTube as well. But Marty on Facebook posted one of his dreams, and I asked him if I could share his dream in my video, and he was absolutely very, very okay with that. So thank you, Marty, for giving permission to share your dream. Okay, so his dream was on October 6th, and he said, this is what he said. During an afternoon nap, I had this short but profound dream. I was gathered outside with my family and some friends at my childhood home, and we were throwing ball, as we always did in this field. People were laughing and having a good time, and the skies were beautiful blue. Then, suddenly, he has in all caps, the skies grew very dark. There was a loud crack of thunder, and immediately there was a single bolt of lightning that was purplish blue, and it powerfully struck the graveyard across the road from my house. Then I saw a fire start at the spot of the lightning strike. I've never heard lightning sound that loud. It seemed as though the sound must have been heard around the entire world. Then I began to yell to my family, "Get in the house! Get in the house now!" He has it all in caps. I grabbed the door to the house, and being the older brother, I waited for my younger brother to come in before I entered in. Everyone began to enter in, and I noticed as we crossed the threshold of the door that suddenly we were young again. As children, we were young again. The sudden sense of peace and being home safe again was the most blissful feeling, and it goes beyond description. I awoke. My friends, I truly believe that this dream is about the soon coming rapture of the church. Remember, Jesus said this in Matthew 24:27. For as lightning comes from the east and flashes to the west, so also will be the coming of the Son of Man. The house, I believe, was symbolic of us going to the safety and bliss of heaven. and us suddenly being young again and seeing it striking the graveyard. And from 1 Corinthians 15:52, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet, the trumpet will sound, and the dead will be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. It's time, my friends, to prepare your heart to hear that trumpet sound and see that flash of lightning, and to be caught up with the Lord in the air. I truly believe is coming very soon. So that was Marty's dream. And I saw that after I had my dream of also something in the sky, of seeing that the things falling, like those big rocks or craters, and then the next, just a few days later, having that dream of the rolling clouds in and the wind kicking up and something huge coming, like these, the clouds in that my dream were just rolling over the house, like I said, like it's coming, here it is. Okay, so though that coming so close on the heels of my dream, I just felt really led to share that as well. So again, thank you, Marty, for giving me permission to share that. And then around the same time, my friend Dina, who is a friend of mine on Facebook, she also helps me with my intercessory group on Facebook. She doesn't share dreams very often, but I just knew the timing of this was just too perfect, because I think this was around October 6th. She said, I dreamt about the Enola Gay. I remember the name, but I do not what it was. I had to Google it. I read it was the name of the bomber plane that dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima. I'm not sure if this is from the Lord, but the timing seems interesting given all the talk about nuclear weapons recently. So, and let's see what else she said. Yeah, she said, and then she went on to say, because I was like, that's so weird, because I knew of the Enola Gay. I studied history, and I remember my dad was a history teacher, and we'd watch these documentaries when I was a kid. He was always into World War II, and he'd talk all about this stuff, so it's very familiar to me. And I was thinking, man, when's the last time anybody's even talked about the Enola Gay? So and I mentioned that to her, and she said, yeah, she said, I hadn't thought about it ever, or heard about it in many, many years. It was way off my radar. I still don't really watch TV. And she mentioned another dream she had where she just had a dream and then something seemed like it happened to the news. So anyway, after all these things, I just felt like it was such confirmation that something, whether it be a nuclear attack, something, it seems like it's the sky related. Now, finally, I'm going to recommend you watch a video that I'll put it in the comments. I'll put the link to the video, and I'm going to see if I can at least share a screenshot with you now that I've figured out some cool things on this new laptop. It's not new, actually. It's an old one, but it's newer than my old one. This is one of my husband's old laptops that is much nicer than anything I've had before. Okay. Okay, so here's her picture. This is the girl, and I'm going to put the link to her video in the notes. Maybe you guys have seen this video. I highly, highly recommend you check this out. Again, it is such a call to action. It's urgent. It was only posted, I think, maybe just a couple of weeks ago. And she was rattled. And in fact, she gets emotional in the video. And you watch it, you'll get chills. So I will go ahead and put that in there. And let me go ahead and get rid of that. Okay. All right. Get rid of that. Yes. Okay. Figuring that out. Okay, guys. So that's it. And just going to encourage you to please go check that out. I'll put the link in there. And I have a few other things I'm praying on before I share them. So keep a lookout. I might have some more stuff for you guys in the near future. In the meantime, keep praying, keep watching. Be more than ever before. Just read the word. It truly does wash you in the water of the word. I just absolutely, I can't even testify enough at how much I feel armored up when I read the word. And I can always feel when I need to. If it's been a few days, I just feel like my armor is getting weak and things start to get to me and I start to get upset about or just feel attacked. And it really strengthens you. Man cannot live on bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. And right now, more than ever, we need that word of God. We cannot live without it. We cannot live without it. And especially filled with the Holy Spirit, we need to stay strong and especially stay vigilant and watch. One of the things Jesus kept saying is watch, watch, watch. So even if it means getting up in the middle of the night and praying. Now, when I wake up randomly at 3 o'clock or 4 in the morning, I get up, I walk around and I pray. And I look out the window and look at the sky and I come back out and I just am like, Lord, I'm watching for you. I'm watching. And I remember, I always think about in the Garden of Gethsemane when the passion that happened just before he was arrested and how he's saying with those disciples, like, please just stay up and watch with me. And I kept falling asleep. Lord, you guys would just watch with Jesus, just watch with him, spend time with him. I went out into the staircase and I just sat there and I was talking to him in the middle of the night. All the family was asleep. I just sat there and just talked to him in the dark staircase, and it just blesses you, and you wake up just so like you just feel his presence. So, okay, guys, I love you. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned. I may have some more stuff for you in the near future. All right. God bless you. Bye bye.